Hey, I'm Cube Monkey. Nice to see you again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve the Rubik's Cube using the method that I use. First, I'm going to talk you quickly through a solve. Then, I'll go step by step through the process so you can learn how to do it yourself. I've also posted the steps as a series of shorts in case you want to work through them at your own pace. First, align the center edge pieces of the bottom layer to make a white cross. Then insert the corner pieces of the bottom layer. Insert the center edge pieces of the middle layer. Make a yellow cross on the top. Place all the yellow pieces face up on the top layer. Correctly arrange the corner pieces of the top layer. Correctly arrange the center edge pieces of the top layer. And you're done. Now I'm going to explain the process step by step so you can learn how to do it yourself. Before we start the tutorial, it's important to become familiar with the basics of the Rubik's Cube and the notation used to describe the moves. On a Rubik's Cube, white is opposite yellow, blue is opposite green, and red is opposite orange. Although the pieces move around, this relationship between the center pieces remains unchanged. A Rubik's Cube has three types of pieces: center, corner, and edge. There's a widely used notation to describe moves. R stands for a 90-degree clockwise rotation of the right side. This rotation is clockwise relative to the center of that face. R prime, and R with a prime symbol after it, represents a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation of the right side. Whenever there is a prime symbol after the letter, this means that the rotation is anti-clockwise relative to the center of that face. L represents left, U represents the upper layer, D represents down, which is the bottom layer, F is front, and B is back. The letter on its own represents a 90-degree clockwise rotation, and when used with a prime symbol, it represents a 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. So for example, this is F, this is F prime, this is R, this is R prime, this is L, this is L prime. Remember that the direction of the notation is always relative to the center of the face. A 2 after a letter represents a 180-degree rotation, so this is R2. This is all the notation you need to know to follow these tutorials. I've broken the tutorial up into short steps so you can easily repeat a step before you move on. The first thing you need to do is to make a white cross on the bottom face. For beginners, the easiest way to do this is to start by making the daisy on the top face. This involves placing the white edge pieces around the yellow center. You then align the colored side of the white edge piece with the center of the same color and flip it over so that it is on the bottom face. Once you have done this for all 4 white edge pieces, you will have the white cross. Even making the daisy might seem difficult at first if you're not at all familiar with Rubik's Cubes, but doing this will help you gain experience of moving the pieces around. Once you're more experienced, you'll probably skip making the daisy and instead use the moves you have learnt to go straight to making the white cross. Once you made the white cross on the bottom face, the next step is to insert the corner pieces of the bottom or first layer. You might find that one or more of these are already in the right place. If so, leave these pieces alone. To insert the corner pieces of the first layer, you want to find a corner piece on the top layer that has a white side. You want the white side to be on the side of the cube, not on the top. You then align the other colored side with the center of the same color. If it's to the right of the centerpiece, you do the following algorithm: R, U, R prime. If it's to the left of the centerpiece, you do this algorithm: L prime, U prime, L. This seems straightforward, but sometimes the corner pieces won't be arranged neatly on the top layer in this way. For example, the white side of the corner piece might be on the top face. In this case, you need to rotate the top face so that this corner is above an empty or incorrectly aligned bottom corner. Hold the cube so the corner piece is on the top right and do the algorithm R, U to R prime. You can then use the moves I described earlier to insert the piece into the correct place on the bottom layer. Another situation is when a corner piece is on the bottom layer, but it is in the wrong place or orientation. In this situation, make sure this piece is to your bottom right and use R, U, R prime to flip the piece onto the top layer. You can then use the moves I described earlier to insert the piece into the correct place on the bottom layer. Once you have done this for all the bottom corners, you have solved the first layer. Once you have solved the bottom layer, the next step is to insert the edge pieces of the middle layer. To do this, you want to find an edge piece on the top layer that doesn't have a yellow side. You then rotate the top layer until the side of the edge piece is aligned with the center of the same color. If the top of the edge piece is the same color as the center of the right-hand face of the cube, do this algorithm: U, R prime. Then rotate the cube 90 degrees clockwise and do U prime, L prime, U prime, L. If the top of this edge piece is the same color as the center of the left-hand face of the cube, do this algorithm: U prime, L prime, U prime, L. Then rotate the cube 90 degrees anti-clockwise and do U, R prime. A complication arises when an edge piece is already in the middle layer, but it's in the wrong place or orientation. You need to move the piece onto the top layer by holding the cube so the piece is to your right and doing R prime. This will displace one of the bottom corner pieces which you will have to put back using the moves you learnt in the last video. Move it over the empty bottom corner and align the colored side with the center of the same color and do L prime U prime L. You will now have an edge piece on the top layer that you can insert into the middle layer using the moves I described earlier in this video. Once you have done this for all the edge pieces of the middle layer, you have solved the first two layers. Once you have solved the first two layers, the next step is to make a yellow cross on the top face. There will already be the yellow center on top and 0, 2 or 4 yellow edges. Ignore the yellow corners for now. If you have 0 or 4 yellow edges on the top face, they can only be in one possible arrangement. If you have 2 yellow edges, they can be arranged in either a straight line or an L shape. If you got 4 yellow edges, you already have the yellow cross. Lucky you. If there are no yellow edges on the top face, do the following algorithm: F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. This will give you 2 yellow edges on the top face arranged in a line. In this case, or if you already have 2 yellow edge pieces in a line, hold the cube so the line goes horizontally across the top face like this. Then do the following algorithm: F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. This will give you an L shape. When you have an L shape, hold the cube so the L is in the top left hand corner and do the algorithm: F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. And this will give you the yellow cross. Once you have the yellow cross on the top face, the next step is to arrange the corners of the top layer so that the yellow sides are on the top, so that the whole of the top face is yellow, or as I like to call it, making a buttercup. You will have one of the following arrangements: a completely yellow top face already, just a plain cross, the fish, this shape, or this shape, like 2 intersecting squares. If you just have a plain cross, hold a cube so that the yellow sides of 2 corners are on the left, and do the following algorithm: R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. This will give you a fish. If you have a fish, hold the cube so that the fish's nose is pointing to the bottom left corner of the top face, and do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. This will either give you another fish, in which case repeat what you just did, or you will have a completely yellow face. If you have this shape, hold the cube so that the single edge is to the left, and do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. This will give you the yellow cross or a fish. so you should follow the steps I have already described. The only other shape you might get is this: two overlapping squares. In this case, you should hold the cube this way and do R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. Whatever you get next, you just follow the steps I have already described until you get the completely yellow top face. Once you have a completely yellow top face, the next thing to do is arrange the corner pieces of the top layer. If you inspect your cube while rotating the top layer, there are three possible arrangements of the corner pieces. Either they're already correctly arranged, which is unlikely, or there'll be two corner pieces with the same color on one side of the cube, or none of the sides will have two corner pieces of the same color. If you have this situation where none of the sides have two corner pieces of the same color, hold the cube any way you like and do R prime F, R prime B2, R, F prime, R prime B2, R2. This should result in this situation I described earlier, where there are two corner pieces of the same color on one side. Rotate the top layer so that they are aligned with the center piece of the same color. Hold the cube so that they are at the back and do R prime F, R prime B2, R, F prime, R prime B2, R2. By rotating the top layer, you should now be able to line up the corners so that they are all in the correct position. There's now only one more step to go. Once you have correctly arranged the corners of the top layer, all you have to do now is to correctly arrange the edge pieces of the top layer. If you inspect the cube, you will have three possible arrangements. The edge pieces are already correctly arranged and the cube is solved. One side of the cube is completely solved, or none of the sides is completely solved. If none of the sides is completely solved, you just hold the cube how you like and do F2, U, L, R prime, F2, R, L prime, U, F2. This should produce the situation where one of the sides is completely solved. When one of the sides is completely solved, hold the solved side away from you and inspect the other edge pieces to see which direction the front edge piece needs to move in order to be in the correct place. If it needs to move in a clockwise direction, do this algorithm: F2, U, L, R prime, F2, R, L prime, U, F2, and you're done. If the front edge piece needs to move in an anti-clockwise direction, do this algorithm: F2, U prime, L, R prime, F2, R, L prime, U prime, F2, and you're done. Congratulations, you have solved your cube. I hope you found this useful. Feel free to watch this over and over again so that the algorithms get stuck in your head. Make sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about my channel. A big shout out to my Roblox friend, Professional Alpha 10, for being my 600th subscriber. And thanks to all of you for 10,000 views.